Welcome back to the Buffalo Bills Cast podcast. I'm your host, Caleb. This is my co-host, Alex.
What's up, guys?
And today we're going to be going over two impact signings the Buffalo Bills made yesterday. We'll start off with Joshua Palmer, wide receiver from the Los Angeles Chargers. Alex, what do you think about the move?
When I first saw it, I'm like, ooh, yeah, I know he's a good deep threat. I think this is going to be a pretty good signing. And then I saw the contract and I was a little worried, but I've grown more to understand the contract because then
Which
what I
was,
saw, which was 3 years, $36 million. And at first I thought it was an overpay, but then I saw the rest of the market shake out and I'm like, oh, that's right on par. Darius Slayton got the exact same contract with similar numbers. I think Palmer's better and Palmer's 3 years younger. De'Ami Brown, who hasn't performed really anything besides one playoff game, really, against the Lions. He got 1 year's 12 mil by the Jaguars. So 12 mil is the going rate for a wide receiver three.
can I
And
say this real quick too? Is that
yes,
he's not going to get 12 million a year. These
yeah,
numbers
that
that always come out in free agency are always much higher than they end up getting because it's like, hey, he could get up to $36 million. He's probably going to get around 9-10 million a year. On top of that, if he plays into that third year, 9-10 million by then for a wide receiver three, I bet is freaking cheap.
yeah. And if he doesn't end up performing very well, it's only 18 mil guaranteed. So it's definitely structured where that third year can be a cut year with no much loss, or just it gives Bean a lot of flexibility to be able to move stuff around next year and the year after that. A lot of cap flexibility built in with this contract, which Bean is very good at always doing. But let's look at Josh Palmer as the player. He has never had like this big season. So if you look at his like stats on paper, like why are we giving this guy 12 mil? But in 2022, he had 72 catches for almost 800 yards and 3 touchdowns as a wide receiver three. Then in 2023, he missed 6 games, then only played 8 games with Justin Herbert. The other three was with Easton Stick. Like and just a completely dysfunctional year for the Chargers, and he still had 38 catches for 581 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then this year, in a run heavy offense where he was the wide receiver three again, I get people to be like, how is he the wide receiver three over Ladd and Quentin Johnson? It's just because those are the guys they drafted early on. They want to get them more involved. Plus, he missed 2 games in a run heavy offense and still had 39 catches for 584 yards and a touchdown. So really, he's someone who can get you 6, 7, 800 yards as a wide receiver three. And what does he bring outside of the stats? Those would be he is elite against man coverage. He was 10th in all of the NFL in win rate against man coverage. The Bills' best receiver was Amari Cooper at 61st. He was a good deep threat, 15 yards per catch, which was 15th in the NFL, funny enough, and 15 yards per target, which was also about 15th in the NFL. So he gets open down the field. Yes, he doesn't have this burner speed, but what he does is he's a great route runner. He's very good at judging his position between the corner and the safety, and he's great at tracking the ball. And even though he's not the biggest guy, he'll go up and get it. He has very good
Yeah.
hands. He's a very good contested catch receiver. And also, he performs against the Chiefs. And his 6 games in the last 3 years against the Chiefs, 32 catches, 438 yards, 3 touchdowns. If you want to bring that out to a 17 game sample size, that's over 100 catches for over 1,200 yards and 8 to 9 touchdowns. So he performs well against our biggest rival, the team we need to beat, because he matches up against them really well. And he fits a hole perfectly. Yeah, he's not going to ever get probably 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 yards. We don't need him to do that. We need him to fit a role because that's what our receiver room is. We have a bunch of very diverse skill sets that fill a lot of different roles that come together and make one good room to pair with our superstar Superman quarterback in Josh Allen. We decided we want to spend money filling other positions, the offensive line, probably the running back position, maybe not tight end. We're spending more money there because we feel like Josh can make it work with lesser talent per se at the wide receiver position and help out elsewhere. It's
Yeah.
because if you think about it, Shakir, the safety valve, you can trust him to be open, very good hands, great after the catch. Curtis Samuel, extremely versatile, can do a lot of different things. Keon Coleman, big body jump ball guy, very physical, very good run blocker. Kind of what he'll step into
Will be a
more.
good run
Yeah,
blocker.
will
Will
be.
be.
He struggled, but he also had the wrist injury. He was pretty decent before the wrist injury, struggled afterwards. So I think it's more injury and youth. But he will develop into that Matt Collins role. And then Josh Palmer kind of fills in that vertical separator down the field. And that's only 4 guys. It's 2 days into free agency. We have plenty of time to go and get another receiver through free agency or most likely the draft. We have 3 picks in the top 62. We have like 10 picks overall. So I wouldn't worry too much about the room until you see what we do and what Bean decides to do in the NFL draft. I think that's where the receiver room fully gets filled out, and I have
My
high expectations for this room.
my thing too is this is why. Okay, so Matt Collins obviously is in New England now.
Yeah.
Here's the idea behind this: Joshua Palmer moves to the X. Keon Coleman moves to the Z. The Z is where Keon primarily played in college, where he played his
Power
best
slot.
football. This power, not really even a power slot. It's just playing at the Z over there. He can play power slot too, which was some of
It's
his
more
best
so
football as
where
well.
he just doesn't have to line up on the line of scrimmage because he struggles to beat man press coverage.
Yeah, but that's my thing too. Is they're clearly bulking him up. They want him to take over a lot of Holland's role from last year, and they just want to create more separation down the field, which is what you do with Joshua Palmer. My thing with Josh Palmer is I keep seeing people bring up 4.51 40. I quite frankly, I mean, I would love if he ran a 4.4, like we all would. But the thing is, what he does well, really good release package. He stacks defenders well. He's got a long catch radius, long strides. He's not slow either. So let's get it out of people's heads that he's slow. He's not slow. He's just not a burner. He is a really foundationally sound wide receiver that can get open down the field in the biggest moments of the game. We've seen him do it, especially against the Raiders and the Chiefs. He stacks his guys well, catch radius plays, and he has really good footwork along the sideline as well, which Allen loves to operate around. I think it's a really good fit, and I really do think they'll fill out the receiving room in another way in the draft.
Ty
Somebody
Felton.
like a Ty Felton, or maybe if Bond falls, because he might. I'm not a huge Isaiah Bond guy, but I'm willing to take the swing on the skill set
I
upside later.
I saw someone propose where we kind of do what the Vikings did last year, and we trade one of our seconds this year and our second next year. So we have 2 top 30 picks, and then we get one maybe to draft Matthew Golden, and then another one to draft a defensive tackle. I wouldn't hate that idea either because those are our 2. I think Matthew Golden makes that receiver room, I think, instantly top 10 in the league, and then we still have room to get our defensive tackle and still a
Yeah.
second round. We still have a second rounder in round 2 to go and get a corner, a safety, an edge guy to kind of fill out the defense more also. Or
Yeah.
we could just go
Speaking
2
of
defenders in the
defense,
first round even. Say like a Jade Barron falls a little bit. Or maybe we can go in Emmett Worry. Like we could also just go 2
yeah.
defenders in the first round and go wide receiver second. We still have a bunch of fourths to be able to trade maybe into the third. We just have so much flexibility in this draft to be able to make a lot of trades to move around and get guys that we want.
Yeah, let's not get we'll get to the draft in a minute. I think we should talk about the Michael Hoecht signing as well.
Yeah.
I like that signing a lot.
Me too.
He was 3 years, 24 max.
Spot Track dropped what the actual cap hits. I have them written right here. So this year, a $4.4 million cap hit. Then next year, a $7.5 million cap hit. And then 2027, a $7.2 million cap hit, but it's not guaranteed. There's an out after 2 years. So realistically, it's about a 2-year, 14-ish million dollar contract. And then if he plays well, he earns that third year. And then in 2028, there's a $1.7 million void year. Basically to lower the cap hit this year. But that's basically what it is. It's a 2-year, about $13-14 million contract. And then if he plays well and earns that next year, then we have him there. If not, we can cut him. So I think, again, another very well set up contract.
He is a younger Smoot with high upside. What the Buffalo Bills did early on with Bean and McDermott was they signed young, high upside players who are playing in limited roles elsewhere. Think of Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer. I'm not saying he's going to be that good because, he's not. Let's be frank. But he's been playing in a limited role with Los Angeles.
Or in the receiver room, Cole Beasley and John Brown were the same way.
Yeah. And you give him more opportunity here. He's very versatile. 6'4", 270, can line up anywhere. Don't put him at linebacker. He can't cover. They did it a few times.
He covered DK Metcalf on that
I
one
knew
route.
that was going to I knew it was
covered
going to
him on
happen.
that one route once.
But the defensive versatility really plays. So you're playing some of those NASCAR packages where he's rushing from the interior on third down and long. Really good run stopper. Really good. I'm not a big PFF guy, but like the grade plays with run defense. It's a little bit more of a sure thing than the pass rush grades are a little bit odd. Also, he was, what do you say, 84th in pass rushes, and he still was getting good pressure numbers, like 16 hurries.
So I have the numbers right here. He was 84th out of all 211 defensive ends in pass rush snaps. Despite that, he was top 70 in sacks, pressures, and hurries. Well, top 80 in sacks, pressures, and hurries. So he outperformed his snap share.
Yeah. And my big thing with that as well is he is a physical presence on this powerful hands, can push guys around. This Buffalo Bills defense for the last few years has been extremely unathletic. Let's just be honest.
Outside of Greg Rousseau.
Outside of Greg Rousseau, that front has been, and Ed Oliver.
And
it's
Ed
an
Oliver,
unathletic front.
Yeah.
This is a 9'9" RAS 4 guy who can play all across the defensive front, has clear athletic tools, and slimmed down from 305 pounds. I keep seeing people post that he's 300 pounds. He's not.
PFF has him labeled 310. That's probably why.
Yeah, that would explain why. He's like 270. He can play all across the front still, though, because of how powerful he is. And I think it's just a wonderful signing. And people are complaining about the money. This is really good value. I think he's better than Smoot. You paid Smoot some more money last year, but this is a guy you pay a little bit extra. You get some high upside, and maybe you have a shot at finding a gem here, which the Bills just have. They've went away from that, and they've started signing veterans the last few years, guys you know what you're getting, or they're on the downslide. This is a guy who's on the come up, might be playing better, was undrafted from Canada, from Ontario, very close to Buffalo.
Him and Josh Palmer grew up like 30 minutes apart from each other, about 2 hours from Buffalo.
Yeah, what's not to like? Also, he blocked 3 field goals last year.
Yes.
Or field goal / extra points.
That kind of leads me into the point. You said he's kind of the Smoot replacement. He reminds me if Dwayne Smoot and Casey Toohill combined and then got 5 times better. He basically
not
brings
5 times, but yeah.
But got a lot better. He basically combines with, because Smoot was the athletic guy that could play, or not Smoot. Toohill was the athletic guy that gave high effort, played special teams, except for Toohill just was very bad. He was very bad for the Bills last year outside of his special team. Smoot, on the other hand, you knew what you were getting. Good run defense, didn't really offer much against the pass, didn't play special teams. He wasn't that athletic. So now you add Casey Toohill's special teams and athleticism to Dwayne Smoot's run defending, but basically you take that and then you add more of a pass rushing upside and a lower age. And yeah, I think it's perfect. Because when was the last time we had someone block a field goal or an extra point?
I don't remember.
Yeah, me neither. It's been a long time.
Yeah. What else would you like to see real quick from this free agency group? I mean, obviously, I think it's interior defensive line and corner. I think those are 2 priorities.
I'm still very anti Daquan Jones. I wish he'd get cut. I don't really see it happening at this point.
June 1st.
But maybe I'm thinking if we can I would like to bring in someone and then cut him post June 1st. But I guess right now maybe they're holding on in case they can't get someone like a Delvin Tomlinson maybe that we've talked about on our Twitter page. But I also would like to see them bring in a veteran presence at cornerback to mentor who we eventually probably draft at corner. But that's really about it. There's not really much moves that need to be made. I want to see Ty Johnson be brought back and then Benford extended. I don't really need to see many moves be made out in free agency, because how often do the off-season winners, the free agency winners, the teams who go out and spend a lot of money end up being very good? It's not that often, because the teams that have a lot of money are the teams that just have bad rosters, who weren't able to re-sign their players because they weren't very good. Look at all the top teams in the league. The Chiefs, the Ravens, us, the Eagles. The Eagles are kind of an exception just because Howie Roseman's the best GM of my lifetime, if I'm being honest. He is just an absolute wizard. So, but yeah, a lot of the other top teams that are paying these top quarterbacks don't have cap space for a reason, because they're paying their guys that they drafted, and that's why they're not big spenders in free agency.
Yeah, without a doubt. Really quick before we wrap up, Greg Rousseau extension. What's the structure? Talk about it real quick. We're just going to run through it, but what are your thoughts?
So the structure on this is We save 8 mil this year. His cap it went down to 5.8 this year. Then next year it's 11.8. 2027 is 23 and 0.3 mil. 2028 is 24.3 mil. 2029 is 25.3 mil. 2030 there's a $2.8 million void. My thoughts on it is he turns 25 in a month, so he's still extremely young. He has gotten better every single year. People want to look at the playoff game and the sack numbers and be like, oh, why are we giving him 20 mil? And I understand the playoff game side. He has struggled in the playoffs, but that sack number is very disingenuous. He was 10th in the entire league in pressures last year. The problem is we didn't have anyone else on the other side or up the gut to be able to get also pressure so he could get the sack. He would get a pressure, the quarterback would just step up or step to the other side, and he wasn't able to get the sack because we had no one else closing the pocket with him. And not to mention, pass rushing is not even his best trait. He is a top 3 run defender in the entire league at the defensive end position. I think it's him. I think it's Max Crosby, and I think it's TJ Watt. Maybe 4th, Myles Garrett ahead of him, but he is with the best of the best in terms of run defense. Last year, he was statistically the 2nd best run defender in the league behind TJ Watt at the defensive end position. So he is an elite run defender, and he is a very much improving pass rusher. He has elite size, elite athleticism, and even if he doesn't improve anymore, he is worth about $20 million right now. So if he doesn't improve anymore, we're paying a market value. If he does continue to improve, which I'm going to bank on based on what I've seen so far and his age and athleticism, then it's going to be a complete steal.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm with you. That's going to wrap up today's episode. Hopefully we're posting another episode sometime soon with some kind of impact move up front, I'd say, or in the secondary. Nothing huge, like he said, but you just need another impact guy there. So we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for tuning in today, and we'll see you soon.